Hey, what's up guys? I am really excited to share this with you. So I am going to be releasing a number of series, and if you have any ideas, go ahead and throw them at me now because I've just created the schedule as to what videos I'm going to release and when. We have a number of series coming out, one being What is Free Will, one being What is Artificial Intelligence, and a lot of other things to do with artificial intelligence. A number of really great topics, human rights. So this video is actually going to be the start of the artificial intelligence series, and it's also going to be the second video in the free will series. So make sure that you look down below and look at the different playlists that I've got there. I'm going to post all the different topics and their playlists. That way you can make sure that if there's a topic you wanted to watch, you're watching the videos in the right order. Okay? So, what is this video about? The question that we're posing in this video is, what is consciousness? So, to talk about consciousness, I don't think it would be a wise idea to jump into consciousness without first recognizing how important it is. Okay? So, what makes consciousness matter? The answer to that is in the term qualia. So, what is qualia? Qualia is any experience that you have. So, first off, what does this mean? And second off, why is that significant? Why is that a big deal? Well, first off, with what is qualia? If you have a series of experiences, for example, right now, let's say that you are in a coma. I just made you enter a coma right now. Now, you have no experience as we speak. You may have thoughts. If you have a thought that comes up that says, where am I? That thought is qualia. It's something that you've experienced. It's basically qualia. You have to recognize that not only do you have the experiencer, but you also have the thing in which is experienced. So the thought that you're having of where am I is not you. That thought is something that you have. It's qualia. So another example of qualia would be anything that has to do with sight, touch, hearing, taste, smell, anything like that. All of your experiences are qualia. Anything observed or experienced or felt is qualia. Okay, that's cool. Now I know what qualia is, but why is that important? Ask yourself this. Is there anything outside of qualia? So, at first you'd say, what do you mean? Anything outside of my experience? Exactly. So, you've gone through a number of things in your life, and you've seen many things, you've been many places, you've talked to many people, you've tasted many foods, you've smelled many other things too. So, you have quite a bit of experience. However, how can you know that there's anything outside of what you've experienced? For example, if you're sitting in your room right now and you walk out of it, when you walk out of your room, you're not experiencing it. So can you really know that it's there? You say, well, yes, I do know it's there because I just saw it. What you're experiencing is a memory of your room. So what if matter only existed when you looked at it? I know this is a big theory, and I'm not really going to jump into that too much. But the point is, what can we really know? All you have really ever known is your qualia, your experience of life. That's it. That's all you've ever known, because it's all you can ever perceive. So, we answered the question, is there anything outside of qualia? There may be, but we don't really know. There's no way to know. So, let's talk about the difference between personal qualia and universal qualia. So, personal qualia is the recognition that when I look at you, you may not exist to me. You may exist in the sense that I'm perceiving you, but if you tell me that you have your own qualia, that qualia that you're talking about is not my qualia. So, for example, if you say that that the food tastes good, well, I would say, I am having the qualia of experiencing you saying that the food tastes good. However, I am not tasting the food from your position. So how can I trust your qualia? How can I know that this qualia is real qualia? It's not my qualia. So from this model, what this means is that that you're the only thing that exists, and that I am a figment of your imagination. That the only thing that exists in this world is you. If you're interested in that idea, you can look up solipsism. Solipsism. Look that up if that's interesting to you. But I prefer to move along the lines that I can trust your qualia. That you and your individual set of experiences are just as real as the ones that I have. Now, I can't ever know for sure what your qualia was. You could tell me a lie and tell me that you had an experience that you didn't have. But I do prefer to appreciate and recognize that you have your own qualia that is in fact real. So, alright Trey, you said this video was about consciousness. What are you talking about qualia so much for? So let's do a recap. Why is consciousness important? Without consciousness, you would not have qualia. Without someone to perceive, there would be no experience. Right now, if every living plant or animal that has any kind of perception whatsoever were to die, would anything really exist? You would think, yes, there's galaxies of stars and asteroids and all kinds of stuff. And of course it exists. But there's no way to know for sure because there's nobody seeing it. So even if a sun is shining light onto the earth, is there really any light unless there's an animal to perceive it? So the reason that consciousness is so important, the reason that qualia is so important, is because without consciousness, you would have nothing, and qualia is all you've ever known. A very important question you might ask yourself is there anything outside of qualia? Qualia is all that we know exists, for sure. Nothing else anything outside of qualia is anything that we have not perceived yet, which means it's like a vast unknown, like a big black space that no one's given their attention to, or is not giving their attention to currently. There may be a spot on Earth where there's a black hole. You're like, what? The point is, we don't know because we haven't gone there to see. There may be a spot where there's just nothing. You may be walking across the street, and the next thing you know, there's just nothing. There's so much potential out there of things that we don't know if they actually exist or not. So, qualia, consciousness, is important because it's all you've ever known. Nothing you've ever experienced has had an escape from consciousness. It's life as we know it. So, great. Now we know what consciousness is and why it's so important. Let me introduce you to the hard problem of consciousness. So, the hard problem of consciousness is an issue we run into with science. In science, we can observe different parts of the body and we can say that things are true. Like, for example, the fact that I have nerve endings moving through my arm, and and my sense of touch is registered in the brain, and all these things like this. So, my sense of sight is registered in the brain, and we know where it's registered in the brain. But all of these different sensations gather in this spot right here. But we do not know where consciousness resides. There's no organ or no specific region in the brain that is the watcher. Where is it that you are? You are this consciousness. The fact that you are experiencing these things, these experiences come to you. They're all coming together in the brain for you. But where are you? Where is there an organ somewhere in the brain that has you? So we often say, this is my body. This is my mind. These are my thoughts. These are my ideas. And sure, I experience thoughts and I experience ideas, but where is the experiencer located at? Where do you exist? So try this out for just a moment. I want you to look for you. Take your, think about where you're located, because when I did this, I was doing this while preparing for this video. Where is it that I'm located? The first thing I want to do is put my hands up to my chest and say, I'm right here. Okay, so your skin? No, right here. Okay, so let's get more specific. Maybe it's my heart. So I reach in my body and I rip my heart out, right? And I'm looking at it. Now sure, I'm going to die without the heart, right? At least the body will die. So, but consider this. If we did a surgery and we cut out the heart and we replaced it with a physical, or sorry, not a physical, an artificial heart, and we put it back in my body, and that artificial heart is pumping my blood and all of that, I'm still here. I'm still experiencing life. My nerve endings are still reaching this region of my brain. So now you might say, okay, well, it's not my heart. This body isn't me. This body is something that I perceive, something but it's not me. So where am I? I would think I would be in the brain. Now, yes, that's where all my experiences have come together, and if you'd like to say that your experiences are what define you, then maybe you'd be comfortable with that, saying, yeah, that makes sense. But the fact of the matter is, because we cannot find an organ in which you exist, this means that, as we know, just based off of science, life should be continuing on, doing what it's doing, but no one should be perceiving anything. Basically, all of this should be happening in the dark, with you never experiencing anything ever in your life. But how can that be? You're experiencing something right now. Are you not hearing my voice? Are you not thinking about the things I'm saying? Are you not seeing my face as I make all these crazy gestures with my body? You are experiencing life. You are seeing it. So, if you're seeing it, this is the hard problem of consciousness. Scientists cannot deny the existence of consciousness, because if they didn't have consciousness, they wouldn't be experiencing the life around them. We all know that we're having an experience of life. So if we know that we're having an experience of life, then where is the experience happening? Sure, all of these sensations are gathering in one place in my mind. But where is the experiencer? There's no organ, there's no place in the mind dedicated to observing. So if it's not a physical function, then where does it exist? This is the hard problem of consciousness. Science can't even answer these questions. So what we have now is philosophy looking into it. So let me introduce a possible solution to the hard problem of consciousness. Consciousness does not exist in the body. It's not a property of the body. Consciousness is something that exists as a field, which means that your observing happens from your awareness, happens everywhere in the universe. But your body, this body here, it's not like my consciousness exists in one location. My entire body is conscious. My fingers are conscious. My hand is conscious. So you might say, well, okay, but that would mean objects are conscious too. That would mean that my consciousness exists here. And if you're wondering what this is an eraser for my whiteboard. But yes, let's say that consciousness exists in all places. If that's the case, your consciousness exists in this eraser, or on the screen that you're watching. So, if your consciousness exists in this eraser, how come you can't feel anything? If I throw this into the water, if I start running a bath and throw that thing in the water and it gets wet, how come you can't feel it? Answer that's really simple. This eraser has no nervous system. There's no mode of perception for this thing. Sure, it's conscious, but there's no perception happening there. There's no qualia. So what the body is this crazy miracle that's come together to be able to perceive the world that exists. If we didn't have perception, we wouldn't have a world. This body is where qualia is grown. If we did not have perception, we would not have experiences. So what does this mean? What implications would this have? It would mean that right now, as you listen to what I'm saying, you're not only hearing it from your body, but you're hearing it from every body that has watched this YouTube video. You are the one saying it right now as I speak these words. The consciousness that is observing all the experiences that have collected in your body and all the memories and all of those sensations, you're experiencing all of those, but you're also experiencing them through me too. For so long we've identified as the body, or as our memories, or things like that. But if consciousness cannot be found physically, it must be all around us. It must exist. Where would it exist? I'm not claiming to know where consciousness exists, but I'm very compelled to believe that consciousness is everywhere. It's everything we've ever known. It's the only thing that really exists. And so that makes this body that you are so concerned about so much less important. Before, you were so concerned of everything that might happen to this body because you thought your survival and your awareness depended on it. What if you are actually this eternal being? And when I say eternal being, I just mean an eternal consciousness or awareness. And it's just this body that makes things so interesting. It's this body that collects qualia and adds all the complication to our lives. What if you're the only thing that exists? Until next time, peace.